The number of foreign direct investments to Uganda have been steadily increasing over the years, resulting into more jobs and revenues to government. That's government's official line. Activists, however, feel that the money government forfeits in the incentives it extends to investors to set shop here dwarfs the accruing benefits. Arthur Larocque is Country Director, Action Aid, Uganda.
Well, we have a campaign at the moment globally. So Uganda is just one country of about 18 that are dealing with a campaign called the Tax Power Campaign. Essentially, the Tax Power Campaign is a campaign that aims to redress the injustices in the tax regime that is making our countries lose significant amount of money, which could have been deployed for many other service delivery, important services to our citizens. So the questions, the main issues we have around the taxation process and the incentives process is drawn from an analysis we've done. Last year, we launched a report called The Race to the Bottom. The Race to the Bottom essentially was bringing out to light the fact that countries like Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda were competing amongst themselves to attract foreign investors and therefore create incentives that would attract foreign investors to their country rather than to another. And because of that, we were making significant concessions.
What is the impact of the incentives and the tax holidays that you're talking about?
Yeah. Now, the illustration we used in this particular study is that for me to be able to attract you as an investor, I want to make Uganda less costly for you than Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya. So I give you holidays, for instance, as an example. You know, a tax holiday is an example of an incentive you give. Or I give you factors of production like land. But the truth is, all these giveaways I am actually providing to investors is not free in real terms. It is really like a subsidy that I provide. Now, if you cost that subsidy, it comes to an enormous amount of money that we feel is actually real revenue that could be deployed in critical sectors like agriculture, education, health, and the like. So the point is, an estimation, for instance, by the African Development Bank, I think in the year 2009, 2010, estimated that Uganda lost 690 billion. Okay? Now, this is a huge amount of money if you put that in context of how much, that was only in that financial year. If you put it in context of the budget for agriculture, for instance, what could that have done for our farmers? In this particular study, The Race to the Bottom, we had absolutely no evidence that incentives actually led to greater investment.
That was going to be my next question.
Because investors are attracted to a country not because of incentives. They are attracted because of other critical factors of production. They are coming here because they want to produce and market. So things like political stability, security, economic infrastructure like roads, railway, electricity are more important than incentives.
Very good. I mean, now aware of that reality, why do we see our governments continuing to offer the same incentives, despite the fact that, because I'm sure they have technocrats who can see through some of these aspects, why do they continue, in your view, to offer the same incentives?
You see, the whole incentives process is not just about our government. There is a global network of powerful players that sometimes reign on our own political technical leaders. So I think at the end of the day, incentives work for somebody. The question is, who does it work for?
Yes.
Recently, you have covered quite admirably challenges that we've had with one of the companies that is operating in one of the islands in Uganda that was given, I think, a holiday 25 years or something like that. And you see, that benefit goes right to the company, but that is what you see. At the end of the day, given the context in which we operate, there might be a trickle effect that there is a bit of collusion that actually happens. So we need to do a better understanding of who actually benefits from incentives, because as an organization, we know they are definitely beneficiaries, but we are arguing that the beneficiaries are not the people we stand for, people who are living in poverty. So are the people in Kalangala the real beneficiaries of incentives that are granted to BIDCO, for instance?
Very good.
That's
Now,
the point.
Let's move at to touch the the actual business terrain in Uganda, and we all know that, of course, the small and medium enterprises actually occupy a fairly critical position in this market. Now, what is the impact of all these kind of incentive packages that they are offering to multinationals, especially to the small and medium enterprise players?
That is a very interesting question, because it enables us to go deeper and actually understand the real impact of incentives. Now, I think one of the arguments we are putting forward as ActionAid is that incentives to select, because not everybody gets an incentive. If everyone was getting an incentive, there's a different type of policy regime. But if you favor foreign direct investors, it might make sense. You might have a logic, like we talked about earlier, it attracts them. But it actually creates such a big inequality with small to medium term enterprises. So if you go and speak to Kasita, the type of incentives small to medium term traders want are very different from the types of incentives we are giving foreign direct investors. So if you are a foreign investor, my brother, I give you an incentive as a government, you are going to come and compete with local traders. You certainly have an added advantage. And so that is the injustice that incentives create beyond just money lost.